I hadn't told that story in years, but it's a story that needed to be told. Why? Because change won't happen without a new level of understanding. I had originally hoped the truth behind it would eventually come out, but it hadn't happened. We continue to rely on weapons used in the past instead of recognizing a new paradigm that even helps explain why we have seen the mixed bag of results and outcomes in today's world. Enough of that. I wanted to follow up on the lesson you learned in the last video with a sequel, which I've never told before. I ran into Fred, Dr. Riggs's lab assistant, sometime later on campus. He said that they had a recent break-in the lab by what he thought was a bunch of animal activists, and that they'd let all the rats out of the cages, and he'd gotten bitten putting them all back. After we shared a laugh, he said that was not all. Apparently, when it came time for the next semester's students to perform the same experiment, some of the rats, when opened up, had only one kidney. Why they hadn't gotten rid of the rats we operated on yet was a mystery to me. Too funny. Where were we? Oh yes, making the point that we've even gone so far as to consider our current form of healthcare like a religion. So with any religion, if you begin to ask why questions, you are going to experience some major resistance and persecution. After all, we've spent years developing our current belief system in healthcare. Even if you are simply trying to add to our body of knowledge for a greater good, there are those that will perceive it as an attack. You want more proof that we consider our current form of healthcare like a religion? To what you hear on an almost daily basis when talking to others about their health condition. And it goes something like this. I spoke to my doctor, and they said that what they found would have proceeded in a certain way. And if I hadn't done what they recommended, something even worse would have happened. What does that imply to you? What that implies to me is that the doctor's knowledge about their condition and eventual outcome is always the truth and is not to be questioned. After all, our training and experience as physicians many times lends itself to predicting certain outcomes. But if we are being totally honest, can any of us say with exact certainty that any patient's outcome will proceed a certain way? Of course not. Still not convinced that we've turned medicine into a religion? How about this? How about we subject it to an acid test, the factor that proves beyond doubt that our current system of healthcare should not be considered a religion? Simply ask the spouse of anyone married to a physician if their partners turn out to be as human as the rest of us. You might also want to ask them, while you're at it, how do they get dressed in the morning? Do they put their pants on one leg at a time, or do they just hover over them first? I've particularly noticed that when working on the electrical side of the equation, like I did for years, predicting the exact outcome of a particular health problem is often out of our hands, even though we as supposedly educated individuals pride ourselves into thinking we have more control of a given situation than we actually do. You see, this pride and arrogance in our supposed knowledge has led to blind spots in our vision. That is such an important lesson that we can all learn from. Am I implying that we shouldn't have any hope or faith in our current system? I'm not even going to go there. But what I am saying is maybe, just maybe, we should save our faith, hope, and belief for a positive outcome to any health situation and not the method and the type of doctor used to bring it about. See the difference now? It's that very difference that now opens the door to new possibilities we might not have considered otherwise. But we continue to place our faith in only one system, putting all our eggs in one basket. Why should we take advantage of, yes, even potentially more game-changing tools at our disposal, which we are failing to explore, when we have highly educated and dedicated professionals that we can consult for our problem that will do it for us, even have insurance coverage to help us pay for it? Where is the motivation to do something different? Yet we still want to place our doctors on pedestals, just like our clergy. Want to know why? To their credit, both professions have stepped up to the plate and help us as average people deal with life and death situations. And in the short term, from a health standpoint, we've gotten pretty good at it. That's about as big as you can get in this world, but the difference is one is a religion and the other has a set of standards which we are asked to believe that in many people's minds answers everything just like religion does, and we should know better. To their credit, our current system of healthcare does indeed change standards of care over time, but I've also noticed that these standards still continue to support their methods and not ones which might then expose flaws or weaknesses in their approach. We've seen it in other industries. that perceive new ideas as a threat to their system and aren't keen to change because they would have to give up a certain amount of power and embrace it. Sounds like politics. With that in mind, I've got a question for the health professionals in the audience, if you're still with me, to further prove my point. Have you ever had a consultation with a patient who fit the exact profile of the type of condition that you are very, very good at? And what's more, the examination and subsequent testing of this patient confirmed your diagnosis, and you were confident of your ability to treat this patient. So you rendered care, and then things went sideways, and I mean really sideways. Then, to make matters worse, that patient didn't hesitate to tell all their friends and family that you even harmed them. Ouch. Any physician who has not had that happen to them has either not treated enough patients or not understood the nature of energetical healing with all its possibilities that I have tried my best in these videos to explain. Even if you just want to understand your health condition better by asking a lot of why questions, because you've observed that our current system is not perfect. There are those in that industry who are going to label you a troublemaker, a heretic, a quack, or even use less appealing words because you dare to question their belief system, which is not to be challenged. We've even gone so far as to make our current system as recognizable as a brand, having big freestanding buildings in practically every city that embrace their type of care as proof of their omni-importance. Too many people refuse to see that if we live long enough, we are all going to die of something, and being able to give our problem a diagnostic name implies that there's also a treatment for it, which in turn favors their approach. Much like Coca-Cola or Apple brands, we've made this our default setting. There are those that are going to think that my purpose in these videos is to trash our current system of healthcare, and that just wouldn't be the truth. But to respectfully point out that there is more out there than just their approach. To our current doctor's credit, I've worked alongside a lot of dedicated and smart health professionals throughout the course of my career that did a lot of things better than me. The acute or critical care portion of our system is a great example. The facts are that there are things our current industry doesn't address well, like the chronic conditions that we're dying from today, or to offer proof we wouldn't be dying from them because we've made this system of healthcare so readily available in this country. I previously pointed out that there are people in other countries living longer, more functional lives than we do, with less access to this type of care, even going so far as to spending a lot less than we do, which proves my very point. Stop and think about this. With the abundance of our current type of healthcare available in this country, and if it is as good as we believe, then why are we not living 20, 30, 40 years longer than other countries? Answer: because we are not using more of our fundamentals. Yet instead of pointing fingers, why not consider looking to supplement them with a new paradigm? Our bodies are both electric and energetical. If it has changed the car industry, as you have been witness to, why not consider that it is the place to begin as well? How do you think that's going to go over with the current system we believe in? Just ask Mr. Musk. Having to work on the energetical side of the equation over the years, I've been given the opportunity to share what most people never get a chance to learn. My best teachers, hands down, were always my patients. Well, why? Because I didn't learn all that much from the patients that I helped, because I already knew what to do. It's the ones I failed time and time again who offered me the opportunity to learn more. Humble and painful lessons at the time, to be sure, but that is the reason for this video. You want something really fundamental to our oak tree that applies to more than just healthcare? Well, here it is. All of us have felt at times that we are destined for something special, something bigger than just ourselves. Then how about considering that this is an energetical inner passion, not one that has to rely on outside approaches to work. And if it helps a broad spectrum of people and beliefs, we all win. Now I've got a question for you. Is our inborn potential limited to those who are the smartest or most powerful in our world? Or do you think that this power is available to everyone who looks for it? Can it be found among just ordinary people like you or me, who now recognize the practically infinite energy available to each one of us? And more to the point, it's something we all feel compelled to do, not forced to do. That's a big difference. Connecting to our higher power is an innate longing for all of us. If you don't currently feel connected, that's all right. I was president of that club for many years. The next video contains some energetical branches without the details, which certainly didn't come from me, that you might find helpful. Our current default approach, however, has been to waste our energy arguing over the details that are truly unique to each one of us and have kept us from pursuing it. As a result, we often hesitate to even try because we all want to be perfect, having all the answers before we even begin, although we know real life isn't like that. To that I say, show me anyone who is perfect, or even share some of those qualities, and I will show you someone who positively changed the world around them, and we even continue to talk about them long after their physical presence has left this earth, because it has happened before. Yet their energetical presence remains and continues to influence our lives. They were using teachings and examples of fundamentals we weren't using. The new paradigm is letting go of all the details, seeing them for what they really are, including our own once and for all. Well, why? Because the fruit of our tree is simply an extension of our fundamentals and roots, and is absolutely different in all of us. Why can't we learn to embrace others' differences because of their beauty and uniqueness, instead of pointing out their flaws? Just because it doesn't work for us doesn't mean that there isn't something valuable there. Why not have the life in abundance that's been promised to us from our higher power from the beginning? Perhaps that is where our belief system in healthcare should be, and not in a way that is not using more of the fundamentals. Change, however, isn't going to come easily, and will probably require individual approaches on a grassroots level. Why do I say this? Because who is often asked to sit on the boards of research grants and funding? The very people that just might have an inherent buy-in and seeing their ways work. I can't and won't attempt to speak for you, but I know I owe this life for all that I have been given, and being able to share things I've observed in my industry that just might help all of us is my best example. Thanks for watching.